Hey guys, hope everyone's keeping well. Yeah, I was kind of really wanting to do an update yesterday, but things got a wee bit busy, like, in the sense of Henry's very clingy to me, so and we don't like live in the largest of houses, so there's not too many hiding places, so I can't really get proper time away to sort of sit and do these wee updates or type out some stuff that I really want to do. But so yeah, I'm actually out in the car for a drive, and it's probably the best time to do these wee updates and let you guys know what's happening. So in general, like, Henry's doing really good. There's been no changes, there's been no like rashes, there's been no vomiting, runny nappies, because the cyclosporin was lowered, so I'm really happy about that. Hopefully come Monday when we're back up at the hospital, they'll be happy and they'll say, right, let's reduce the dose more and see what happens. So really can't wait to get him off some of these meds, because they're like really hard on him. So but yeah, his form's been great. He teased us on Wednesday night. I think I put up maybe on my stories maybe. He, a certain time at night, after his last NG feed, we get him ready for bed, and then he just keeps saying bed, and I'm always sort of thinking, which one, you gonna go to your cot tonight, or are you coming with us? So this night he went to his cot, and usually there's a really bad habit he learned in Bristol where he just watches his iPad for a wee bit, and then he goes to sleep. So we usually give him his iPad in his cot, let him settle for a bit, see what he does. But this night, Wednesday night, he fell asleep like really quick, and me and David were sort of sitting in a bit of shock, going, what? Like, this hasn't happened before. Well, it has happened before, but not for a very long time. So just sort of sat and watched it, made sure he was okay. Like, we couldn't fully relax and watch TV because we were just like, is he okay? What's going on? So it sort of says, right, well, we still need to give him his meds, so we're gonna have to sneak down and give it to him while he's sleeping. So we done that. He slept through it, he was fine. We came back to the living room thinking, this is really bizarre. Eventually we says, right, we may as well just go to bed, because this is unusual. Let's enjoy our own space in bed, rather than being crammed to the edge of it. Because no doubt in our heads we're like, in another hour he's probably going to cry and wake up and want in our room. But he started a couple of times, but he didn't wake up, and he didn't really cry for us till about, it was nearly 6 a.m, which was great. So we started thinking, oh yeah, he's starting to transition back to his cot, starting to settle in it again. But yeah, he teased us because every night since he's wanted in our room. And I think the last couple of nights I've actually counted, it's either 5 or 6 times he actually ends up sleeping sideways and kicks my face or the back of my head, depending what way I'm lying. But yeah, it's been, I'm sure Henry's had great sleeps, but me and David maybe haven't, because I get Henry's feet but David gets head-butted. But yeah, we'll see what happens the next while. His bed is arriving on Tuesday, so we will try and transition him back to his room, whether or not me and David have to sleep in his room with him for a wee bit, at least initially, till he goes to sleep, and see what happens. But I think it's really important we get him settled back into the old way of things. But yeah, generally he's doing good. Like, he's playing, he's walking about, having fun. Just like, he was standing at the front door. I think I posted a picture earlier. He's just standing at the front door looking out, and just, I don't know if he was watching because it's so windy today, but I don't know if he kind of misses just being out and about. We're maybe not getting out as much, and yeah, he's just, I think it's like proper like lockdown. So oh, bless him. But no, we're doing good. I think I was going to do an update yesterday because it was this time, I can't believe it, this time last year that we actually got Henry's diagnosis. And I suppose I've been, the last couple of days and today, I've been kind of reflecting on and kind of remembering what all sort of happened. I had started typing out a lot of the stuff the end of last year, just so I could look back, and it was good for my head to type stuff out, and I suppose that's why I'm sort of still wanting to keep on journaling. Oh, my car's beeping, ignore that. Kind of want to keep journaling, but it's been quite interesting just like going back and reading through all that sort of stuff, like and like I do remember it so vividly. Like, how do you forget something like that? But the last couple of days, because he was admitted, we got that phone call to be admitted to the Ulster Hospital back 29th of October last year, and I suppose since, like, me and David have been looking at sort of times during the days recently, thinking like, what was happening this time last year, you know. And you know, it's emotional, and it, you know, trying to, like, remembering all of that, it's weird. It's tough, maybe putting your mind back there, but I'm sort of looking at it in the sense of like, yeah, okay, we were in that dark place. We got that really bad diagnosis, but like, look how much has happened in this last year. Look how far we've come. Like, what we've got through, and how much stronger we kind of feel now. But yeah, we were remembering, like, and I'll never forget the way, like, the order of events and how it happened, because, and I've told so many people the sort of story of what sort of happened initially at the Ulster Hospital before you moved to the Royal, and everybody's always so shocked at how it was handled, and I suppose to a degree we still are, you know. Like, we went up on the 29th of October, we got the call that he had to be admitted because his white blood cell count was so high. And in our heads we were thinking it was a really, really bad chest infection. We'll come up there, get tests done, you'll get medication, it'll all get sorted. Or we were thinking, oh, maybe it's asthma, because I had asthma as a kid, David has asthma. Like, how wrong we were. Like, we thought that was like awful, like, to be diagnosed with asthma so young, but like, we had no idea what was in store. So we went up that night, and only one of us could stay, so I stayed with Henry. Not really sure of what would happen, because we've never been in, like, admitted to a hospital, thank goodness, before, and let alone, he was only 15 months old at the time, let alone, like, how do you settle him. But I remember he went to sleep, like, really quickly, and I was really sitting in complete shock for a while, and then I eventually went to sleep. But David came back the next morning, and we just didn't know what to expect, or what we weren't really told of the plan. We were just told, oh, there'll be more sort of tests tomorrow. I think we took his bloods and stuff like that, but I'll never forget, it was the 30th of October then, I'll never forget what happened, like, and how it was handled. But I think it was around lunchtime, we were sort of waiting around for ages, and about noon, like, three consultants came in, and there wasn't too much said. It was sort of like, you know, and like, this is no word of a lie. I think I have this all typed out because I think I was still in shock as well. Still, I kind of am, but they just sort of said, sorry to let you know, it looks like it's cancer. And like, that is all they said. And like, you hear that word and you just start, like, we were so ignorant to cancer back then. Like, obviously not, it hasn't really affected us directly, but you think of just, oh, people get this and it kills people, so your mind just skips and races everywhere. We didn't really know how to respond, like, what do you do? It was just complete shock. But that is all they said, and they said, we're waiting for, you're going to be transferred to the Royal Children's Haematology Unit, and we're just waiting to hear when the bed's free, and then you can go. And that was it, and they just left the room, and it was just like, what? Like, me and David, like, Henry didn't have a clue what was going on. He was sitting there, me and David just broke and fell apart. But then, being cautious of Henry too, you know, you don't want him seeing all that emotion, but like, how do you contain it all? So we phoned our families to come up. Thank goodness COVID wasn't a thing back then, because like, we needed our families around us at that point. And just to be told it looks like cancer, like, there wasn't really much certainty, so that made it even more confusing and hard to take. But then we were just like, right, we're going up to the Royal, oh my goodness, you know, what's going to happen there? And then, you know, we were sort of waiting about, and like, nobody really came in to sort of check on us, how we were. And it was just like, it was dinner time, because we drove up to the Royal at rush hour traffic, and it was just like, oh, the bed's ready for you if you want to go up. And there was no like, hope all goes well, all the best, you know. There was nothing. It was just like, you know, we didn't even say bye. I think when we walked out, we were like, bye. And like nobody, I was so shocked. And just having the emotion of getting that bomb dropped. But the anger of how it was handled, it was so like, I didn't know what emotion was taking over, to be honest. I just remember the drive was horrendous to the Royal. And like we were in tears. Henry was in the back, clearly not having a clue what was going on, wondering why he was, because it was quite dark at that time of the year, wondering what was going on. And I'll never forget like arriving, didn't really know where to go. Went into like, the children's hematology unit. You know, we were put in that isolation room that we were in actually a couple of weeks ago for that overnight. But like seeing signs, and us being in the unit that says, you know, children's cancer, you know, charity and all this sort of stuff. Like the C word was just everywhere, and it was just like, my word, this is serious. This is it was such a blur as well. But we got in the isolation room. We were said Henry has to fast. He's going to theatre in the morning of the 31st, to get a bone marrow biopsy. And like only one parent could stay, but I think I begged if David could stay, and thankfully they let him. They let him stay every night we were in there, because I was just, I didn't know, like how do you, without like your partner's support, I would have been in complete bits. But it would have been way worse without David. But so we done all that, went for the bone marrow biopsy. That was horrendous, because that was like, he was taken to theatre, you know, couldn't go in with him or anything. Waiting about for him to come back, and then waiting, it was the 31st, so today, a year ago, it was about lunchtime, the consultant, Dr. Kearns, and the nurse, Jessica, came in and sat with us, and it was just handled, like it was complete opposites. It was like, you know, even the way she communicated it to us, we understood. Just the emotional support there too. She just got it, and I'll never forget when she said like what he has. He got diagnosed with JMML, as I've mentioned, like a rare blood cancer, and like what are the next steps and stuff. And I remember me and David were sitting on the wee side sofa bed thing, Henry between us, and I remember just like looking at Henry and going, right, okay. And Dr. Kearns put her hand on my leg and just said, it's not. And I fell apart. I couldn't contain like all the emotion, just looking at my wee son back then. And just trying to understand what those next steps looked like. Like, okay, now we're experts in all because we've been through it, but like at the time it was just like, what is that? Like, what is a bone marrow transplant? You know, I think a lot of people, and I did too, thought it was like an operation where they take something out and put something back in, like an organ transplant. But no, it's obviously like the stem cells and stuff like that, and the chemo. So it was such a steep learning curve. But yeah, I think I just loved the way she handled it. And we saw her, like, she was nearly retiring at that point, but we saw her quite a lot. I remember she said ideally she would want to leave it for 6 months for the transplant to happen, because at that point they were talking about us going to Bristol in January, but she would want to have waited for 6 months. And you know, looking back, it's kind of, we waited 8 months, so I'm so thankful. And we've always said like the timing of everything was like spot on, like God's hand was completely in it, every single detail. Henry was stronger going into it, and the donor match was amazing. So it's just really weird thinking back, and like I can picture every single moment. I remember every single detail in the room and all the phone calls to be made, and people coming in and visiting. The staff were amazing. I just remember, and it's just like a few months ago, thinking back to then, I probably would have been in complete tears sitting here saying all this, but thinking back and knowing what we've all come through, is just, it's like a different sort of wave of emotion sort of hits where you're sort of like, yeah, we got through it. You know, you feel like this strength instead now, and just complete like gratitude for like everything that happened, the way it happened, and the people we met, the people who've helped. You know, it's just, it's such a story. And I think that's why in my last sort of post I maybe mentioned about Conquer being a book. Well, like, I really have decided now Conquer will be a book. Just don't know like when or how it'll happen, but I am definitely gonna write a book about the journey we went through and how we've got through it, and just share, like, there's probably things I've wrote down personally in my journal that I haven't really shared, but I think I really want to get that out, and just to have something physical, as I said, so Henry can sort of read back when he's older and see what he got through, because like he has touched so many lives and still is. Like, I got a text message from like one of the nurses in Bristol the other day, and it was so lovely and so sweet of her, but like she mentioned like how like we impacted them, and that was my prayer the whole time, that I believe God turns everything around for good. And I as awful as the situation was, and as awful the treatment that Henry had to go through, you know, I wanted lives to be touched and lives to be saved through all this, and to be told, you know, that it impacted lives there when we were there, is like that's like an answer to prayer, because that's what I wanted. So that I just, yeah, getting those new messages, and they all felt like they were like family to us over there, so staying connected to them I absolutely love, because we do miss them. Like, okay, it's probably the worst time of our lives going through all that, but you know, you look at the positives now, and that's part of the reflections as well. But yeah, it's just nice being on this side of it now, and yeah, I suppose this time of year will always be a strange time of year, reflecting on what had happened, but I think ultimately the emotion that we're left with is just, we just feel so thankful for everything. So yeah, I will be doing a book, just don't know when that'll start. Like, I have a lot of, I was chatting to some people, that I have a lot of stuff typed out already. I suppose it's just a case of piecing it together, filling in any gaps. I definitely want to share some like verses throughout as well, that God prompted me to read when I was in Bristol in particular. Just like, if like I really want to do this for you know, Henry, looking back on and having something physical, because I don't want, you know, I want to create something out of this. But if it can help one person like that, that would make me completely overjoyed. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to push myself and rush myself to do it now, because I suppose my character, I'm always just like, do. I need to create something now. But I suppose I don't want to push myself so I'm exhausted, but it will happen. But yeah, it's so windy out here today, so I think I might just head back to the house now after we spin. And yeah, we're back at the hospital on Monday, so we'll let you know what the doctor and nurse says about Henry's bloods and what we're doing with the medication, and just like keep you posted on any other developments and stuff. But in the meantime, I will drive very carefully back home and I'll give you an update in the next couple of days. But please stay safe, COVID and weather-wise. It's quite stormy at the minute, so stay safe, stay well, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, take care, bye.